Clemson University.
All right, thank you, Tom. So a brief overview of Clemson University. We are a top 20 public university. Per Carnegie classification, we are a research-intensive university. We were founded in 1889 as a land-grant institution, and we have a presence in every single county in the state of South Carolina. Have just over 20,000 students, 4,700 employees, and our annual operating budget is $956 million. We have 5 distinct colleges, and we use quite a mix of different systems to support our operations. PeopleSoft for our general ledgers and financial, and PeopleSoft for our human resources. We also utilize Banner for our student information system, Business Objects for our data warehouse, and obviously Hyperion for our planning and budgeting needs. Next slide. A little more detail. I actually office out of the Budget of Financial and Planning. And we just call it the Budget Office for short. You can see our mission statement there. We have 6 FTEs and a collective experience of 45 years. Next slide. So in order to kind of set the table for our implementation, we kind of take a step back and take a look at the goal, what set us off on this path. On the next slide. And in order to understand the goal, we have to kind of look at where we were when we started this process. So we kind of look at the old world. And as the title implies, budgeting and planning, but no analysis. So it was a very good system, and it met our needs at the time, but we had, we realized we were outgrowing the system we were utilizing. Unfortunately, the legacy system we were using, the time to produce was rather significant. It was a very interface-focused approach, limited analytic capabilities, and little to no visibility to the data. You put your numbers in there, have to do a series of exercises and calculations to kind of see the overall impact, and that wasn't working well for us. We specifically about the tool, it was a series of PeopleSoft custom panels that we developed here internally. As we went through this process, we also heard from our users that they also had to manage spreadsheets on the side, kind of create their budget in the spreadsheets and then take that data from the spreadsheets and kind of force it into those PeopleSoft custom panels. And unfortunately, this kind of led to more effort being put towards data management as opposed to budget analysis. So that's kind of the old world order. And on the next slide, we can kind of talk through what we call the blueprint exercise. So we identified the goal, and we went through and kind of identified the key elements and objectives that we need to cover in order to meet that goal. So one of the big mantras that we had for this initiative was building a one-stop shop. So if it had anything to do with budget, we wanted to have a single solution that our users could go to a single place and get any answer that they needed or do any kind of work that they needed associated with the budget. Specifically to the budget, there's obviously the annual operating budget. We also, in this one-stop shop, we included budget amendments. So those are the inevitable changes to the annual operating budget. A good example of that is when we create the annual operating budget, there may be a plan to hire 5 new faculty members, but throughout the year, maybe the plan changes, or we're only able to hire 4, or one of them hires a little later than anticipated, and there's excess budget, and we want to utilize it in the current year. So we would process a budget amendment to move those savings to something like travel or equipment or whatever makes sense. And that's what we call budget amendments. Also long-term planning, budget reporting and analytics, and various day-to-day activities, be it just simple budget versus actual, helping to ensure transactions post in a timely manner, that kind of stuff. So that's what encompassed the one-stop shop. We also wanted to help empower our users. So we wanted to reduce the time to produce. Budgeting can be kind of a laborious process just by the nature of what it is. We don't need the system to slow that down.